Hey Calvary students, I hope everyone's having a great week. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving yesterday, had plenty of food, spent time with your family, and still enjoying your break. Now that Thanksgiving is over, it is now, for me personally, to start getting ready for Christmas, getting presents, getting the tree up. I won't listen to Christmas music until after Thanksgiving. So now it's appropriate, bust out the ugly sweaters or whatever you want to. Go see lights, go hang the lights. Get ready for Christmas. Um, and so we're going to be talking about a little bit about Christmas. And one more thing, tomorrow is Bedlam. OSU's going to win. So let's jump right into this. We're going to be talking about prophecies of the birth of Jesus Christ. Now, whenever we read the New Testament accounts in Matthew and in Luke, we sometimes get bored with the first several verses and talking about the lineage. But it's very, very important. Imagine for just a moment that if there were some ancient scrolls that were discovered in Tulsa, let's say, that dated back 600 to 1,000 years before today. And they were all written before anybody came to the U.S., as far as like Columbus came to the area, or the Vikings, whatever. Or think even all of it was written before the American Revolutionary War. And these scrolls would predict someone in our generation alive today would be born out of the lineage of George Washington, a legendary historical figure in the United States. And this person would be a descendant from a bunch of people who were known to be from Virginia. But also it unveils for us that this person is going to be born in Cleveland County, Oklahoma, in the town of Noble. And miraculously, his mother's going to be a virgin. And people from other countries would come and give him gifts and worship him and present him and believe that he was a special gift from God. Well, that's what happened with Jesus. In the Old Testament, I've mentioned this before in some of my videos, the whole theme is Jesus is coming. And there's some specific prophecies that speak about his birth. The first one we're going to look at goes all the way back to Abraham. In Genesis chapter 22, the Lord says this to Abraham. In Genesis chapter 22, verse 18, that all nations on earth will be blessed, speaking through Abraham. So we know that he's going to be a descendant of Abraham. And in Isaiah 11:1 says that a shoot will come up from the stump of Jesse. From his roots, a branch will bear fruit. The Spirit of the Lord will rest on him. Jesse is the father of King David. And it says in Micah chapter 5, verse 2, "But you, Bethlehem, Ephraim, though you are small among the clans of Judah, out of you will come for me one who will rule over Israel, whose origins are from old ancient times." This is telling us where Jesus will be born. And Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14 tells us, "Therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. The virgin will be with child, will give birth to a son, and you will call him Emmanuel." Emmanuel means God with us. The last one I want to talk about is mentioning the people who traveled to come and give him gifts. It was looking at the wise men. And it says in Psalm chapter 72, verses 9 and 10, "May the desert tribes bow before him, and his enemies lick the dust. May the kings of Tarshish and distant shores bring tribute to him. May the kings of Sheba and Seba present him gifts. May all kings bow down to him, and all nations serve him." Now that one's kind of a twofold prophecy. And one of them, people coming in the first advent, in the first coming of Jesus. The second one, whenever we have our second advent, which I'll talk about later, is every knee will bow, every tongue will confess, and every nation eventually will serve the Lord. And so those are just some prophecies speaking on the coming of Jesus. There's a long variety of him, but I figured I'd pick a couple specifically talking about his birth, because that's what we're celebrating for Christmas. It's not about the gifts. It's not about spending time with family or the music or the sliders or anything else. And I'm sure you've all heard this before, but it's a very serious time to remember the coming of Christ. And in the last devotion I did a couple days ago, I talked about being grateful and thanksgiving, and this is something we should be thankful for. That Jesus became human. He lived on earth, born in a manger. The God of all creation decided not to be born in a palace somewhere, but to be born with animals.